Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. And this episode, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the politics of boxing and the state of boxing. And it's just based on some conversations I've had lately when people have talked about, the condition of coaches or coaching in the game, how there's less teachers in the game nowadays, how Canada has not sent a lot of people to the Olympics, or we haven't medaled in the last I guess it's about 20 years now. And I thought a lot about it, and I was trying to think what's the common thing here. And a lot of times people default and say, oh, it's this generation not doing X, Y, or Z. But from the way that I've been seeing it, and when I look back at where the successes are, successes meaning especially looking at the U.S. and other places where boxing has been successful, I've seen where there's an appreciation for people that have gone past in the past. So looking back to and revering former fighters and former coaches, it has to do with respecting the game that you're in. That's what I believe. And I think in Ontario and in Canada especially, we're missing a little bit of respect for the game. We're missing a bit of respect for what's gone on before our time. There's a lot of fighters I know that I've spoken to personally that don't know a lot of history of Canadian boxing, or the history of their province, where the fighters have come from, or just the history of boxing in general. They don't study the game. They say that they live and die boxing, but they're more living and dying the workout because they like how they look or they like how they feel. If you're living and dying in boxing, that means that you're actually studying the sport. You're looking at and understanding why fighters are making movements, how they're setting up punches. You're understanding the training principles. You're understanding the rules, and you're knowing, who the legendary fighters were, why they were legendary, who's made the difference in the game, how have they changed it. And I find that that's kind of lacking, and that's one of the things I'm very proud about the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame, in terms of recognizing the accomplishments of past fighters and builders of the sport that have come before, especially in the province of Ontario. I'm ecstatic when I hear that I mention a name or put out the history on someone, and someone that's been in the game hasn't even heard of them before. It tells me that something right is happening. But I think it just needs to happen on a wider scale. When it comes to coaches, when you look at who are the coaches right now that are getting the accolades, like a Freddie Roach, who actually has some Canadian ties. But Freddie Roach, he was an apprentice to Eddie Futch for several years before he ventured out and started coaching on his own. I don't see a lot of new coaches apprenticing under guys that have been around for a long time. And there's a lot that gets lost when you don't talk to people that have come before you. There's a lot of great fighters in this province, and there's not a lot of interaction sometimes with some of these fighters in the boxing community. So I don't know what that is, and this episode's not really going to delve too deeply into that, because I'm sure that there's a multitude of reasons. Some guys have moved on from the game, or don't want to necessarily be part of training, or they're working, or family, could be health, who knows. That's another area and another topic for another day. But I'm just raising the point that if you're 100% for the sport, I think that one of the important things is to also spend the time and invest the time in learning about the people from the past. And I'm going to certainly do my best to try and shed some light in that area as well. You can always check out the Below the Belt Facebook page. my blog on my website, www.dameonokposio.com, and the Ontario Boxing Hall of Fame page on Facebook. Remember, you can ask us any questions related to boxing, and we'll turn those questions or answers into episodes. We appreciate you tuning into the show, and I always appreciate any of the feedback that people send. People seem to like email, which is great. But remember, you can ask or send us any questions through Twitter at DOKPOSIO. Email, most people know, okposio@hotmail.com. And my number, you can call me anytime. Thanks again for tuning into another episode. Remember, you can subscribe to the DO Boxing Show through YouTube to get every episode. And we appreciate you tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.